Hello everybody and welcome back to Carried Away Travels. In this week's video, I'm going to be telling you about one of the most unique hotels in all of Puerto Rico, the Fox Hotel in Ponce. If you've been following along with my Puerto Rico series, you might have noticed a couple videos ago that I did a review video on several of the Airbnbs and hotels that I stayed at on the island. Now, I did a week-long road trip all the way around the island, and so every single night I stayed someplace different, which really gave me a great opportunity to see what life was like in all different parts of the island, especially outside of San Juan. That was my big focus. But there are two hotels that I did not include in that video because they were so unique and just had so much going on that I really felt that they deserved full review videos. And the first of those is the Fox Hotel. Now, as I mentioned in the introduction, the Fox Hotel is located in Ponce, and if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I do apologize. Ponce is the second largest city on the island, and whereas San Juan is like all the way north, Ponce is all the way down south. And this area is just so different from San Juan. The actual city, a lot of it is very similar. You have these old streets, beautiful old buildings in pastels. Sometimes they're really bright colors too. There's just a lot of culture here, and it is more of a city environment, whereas a lot of Puerto Rico is these small towns, either like up in the mountains or just little locales by the beach. And so this is the other city life spot in Puerto Rico. Now, I really didn't know that until I started researching Puerto Rico a little more and planning out my itinerary. But the main reason Ponce was on my radar at all is because of the Fox Hotel. While I was researching different places to stay, the gorgeous bright blue facade of the Fox Hotel popped up on booking.com, and immediately I was just drawn in. It looked so cool. I loved the colors, I loved the vibe, and I was like, I want to visit Ponce because I want to stay there. But of course, every single hotel has its pros and cons, and so my goal with this video is to give you just a straightforward, honest review of my stay at the Fox Hotel, what I loved and what I didn't, so you can decide if it's the right stay for you while you're visiting Puerto Rico. And on that note, if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. My name is Carrie, and I share helpful travel tips, itineraries, gear recommendations, and more, so you can always have the perfect trip. My goal with every video is to give you the information you need to make the best decision for you on whether a destination, a tour, a hotel, whatever it is the right fit for you, so you can maximize enjoyment and minimize stress. If that sounds like the kind of video you want more of in your feed, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let's go ahead and dive into all the details. First up, I want to touch on the location and my first impression of the hotel. Like I mentioned, the hotel is in Ponce, which is the second biggest city, and it is specifically in the historic downtown district. This is a really, really beautiful area. Like I mentioned, there are all these gorgeous buildings, and the hotel is on this square with two little plazas and parks like right in the middle there, and there's the old firehouse museum, there's this beautiful cathedral right there, then there's all these businesses and restaurants lining the square. Like, it is a beautiful area. However, like many of the city streets in Puerto Rico, if you come during rush hour or really any time in the afternoon, it is so busy and it can be really, really stressful. And that was something that unfortunately hit me right off the bat. There were one-way streets that honestly weren't very well marked. Definitely went down at least one of those the wrong way. And then parking was just crazy. So that is something, if you have a car in San Juan, you're going to run into some similar situations as well. That's just driving's just an adventure there. But that is something to be aware of. It can be very, very busy. Now, after like 5 p.m., it was quiet. Like, I walked out and there were hardly any cars out there, and it was all peaceful in the squares and everything. It's really nice, but that's just something to be aware of. It is in a very busy part of downtown, but it is in a prime location of downtown because there is so much to do within just a couple miles radius. And again, the hotel itself is beautiful. You walk under this bright blue cyan archway. And then there's this gorgeous courtyard with this bright blue mosaic fountain. It's got these hot pink flamingos in it. And then the actual hotel has this really impressive facade that's actually left over from when it was a theater. And so it's so welcoming and peaceful as soon as you walk inside. And so that was just like this breath of fresh air after all the stress of trying to park. The staff was so friendly. The girl at the front desk was so helpful. She made check-in easy and she spoke really great English, which isn't always a given anywhere on the island. Even in San Juan, in some places, tourist destinations even, you really should be able to speak Spanish at least a little bit or have a translator. But the girl at the front desk was fantastic. No problem communicating there. And she just made it so easy to check in and tell us where we needed to actually park our car for the hotel parking. But I do want to talk a little bit more about just the atmosphere and the history of the Fox Hotel as well. As I mentioned, it is a renovated theater that dates back to 1931 when it was originally built as the Teatro Fox de Delicios, and it was designed by Francisco Porrado Doria. It was eventually bought by this group of Puerto Rican investors who turned it into a pop art hotel, which is why it has such a cool, just eye-catching vibe throughout the entire place. Like, it is such a cool experience to walk into here, and it's just this explosion of cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Now, it's got this amazing Art Deco style, and I'm so glad they kept the facade, but they kept so much of the original infrastructure inside as well. You can see that in these cool double staircases and all these little elements throughout. It's just a really, really neat vibe. It is super Instagrammable, and it's really giving Andy Warhol vibes in a lot of places, especially the bar right up front that is decorated with colorful Campbell's soup cans. The Fox Hotel is really an experience more than just a stay. And it really shines in these multiple public spaces that it has throughout the hotel, where you're just really invited to enjoy the space and explore and look for all those details and just have fun with the people that you're with. For example, that beautiful courtyard is the perfect place to sit outside and enjoy the weather and have some good food and drinks. There are little kiosks, these gorgeous little kiosks in the courtyard that are operated by local vendors, and they sell food and drink. They have string lights all over, so it just twinkles and glows at night. I love that courtyard. It was so cute. But that continues into the actual hotel as well. As soon as you walk into the lobby, you just see all these colors everywhere and tons of different common spaces. There's a pool table right across from the receptionist desk where you can challenge your friends or family to a game. And then the lobby opens up and there are more food kiosks with local vendors, so you can just grab a meal on site and enjoy it in their little dining court. Then off to the left, there's an arcade, like a pretty extensive arcade with so many different games. They have racing games, they have shooters, they have simulators. It's a lot. And so you can spend your evening there after everything out in town shuts down. This is really a place just to gather and enjoy without having to leave the property. But there is more. Behind the arcade, there's actually a small bar as well that serves up like pizza and burgers and appetizers. And to my understanding, that one was actually operated by the hotel, but they also sold like fresh juices and cocktails, and they had these giant cookies for sale from a local baker. So they were still incorporating like that local element into it. And then in the back of the hotel, if you go to the back of the lobby, there are all these little spaces for rent where local businesses can either have events or set up their businesses in the hotel. And I just loved at every turn they were incorporating more businesses than just the main hotel into this space. But of course, I can't talk about staying at a hotel without talking about the actual rooms. So let's dive into that as well. First up, the design and the decor were just top notch. Like, they fit into the rest of the theme perfectly. My room was more of like almost a comic book theme, but it kept with that like cyan, magenta color scheme for the most part, with a couple other elements. Like I had a lime green bulldog statue in my room, just fun little touches here and there, but it really leaned into that color palette. I had this bright yellow chair, blue walls, a hot pink pillow of a hand holding a cupcake, but then there was also artwork that leaned more towards comic book style. My door had like a big BAM emblazoned on it, like from a comic strip. The bathroom door said ouch. So they were really leaning into those fun colors, but shifting slightly away from just pop art and more towards comic a little bit. Everything was very unique and fun, and you could tell it had been carefully planned out, and I absolutely loved the vibe. Now, obviously the hotel has quite a few on-site amenities like down in the lobby. As far as the room goes, they did have like the nice chair, they had a nice sized TV, there was a luggage rack, a little hanging space in the bathroom, and they had like the basic hotel toiletries, nice folded towels. But two of the things I really appreciate when I go to a hotel are a soft bed and a hot shower. And the Fox Hotel had neither of those. Now, there were several places we stayed in Puerto Rico that did not have hot water. So I do not know if that is a Fox Hotel problem or more of just an island situation, because it seemed there were multiple places around the island that just did not regularly have hot water. And the bed was just very hard. It looked so inviting, but I crawled in, and if I hadn't had like a really long day before that to where I was just exhausted, I probably would not have slept well, because I am very much a soft bed type of person. So those were definitely my two biggest complaints about the hotel overall. And unfortunately, I do think those are pretty big ticket items. My other final complaint here is that parking situation. Like I mentioned, when we came in, it was very, very busy, and I didn't know where I needed to park for the hotel. So I had to circle around a couple times, and I finally found a spot a couple blocks away. And I wasn't super clear on how long I could stay there, but I parked, I ran into the hotel, and the girl at the desk told me where the parking was. And it turns out the Fox Hotel shares a parking space with another hotel on the square. And so they have one lot over at that other hotel. It's like a minute walk from the Fox Hotel, but it is so tight. I pulled into there, and my compact SUV felt huge. It was just such a packed lot. There were cars parallel parked all along the edges, and then the lot kind of dipped down this little hill and opened up into a bigger part. But a lot of the cars were trapped in rows of two. So like these cars couldn't get out unless this car moved for them. And so I really didn't want to go down in there. So thankfully, another car right at the edge of that hill moved as we came in, and I was able to pull into that spot. But it took a lot of finagling, because that hill and the entrance into that spot was so narrow, and it was really a stressful experience. And it took me about 15 minutes to weasel my way into that little spot and make sure that I was in a place where no one was going to hit me going in or out of that bottom lot as well. So that was really stressful. And at that point, I was like, I'm not leaving. I am not pulling out of this space, because I don't know that I'll be able to get a new one. But when I went to check out in the morning and get the vehicle, there were plenty of spaces. So I do think a lot of that was just the time of day that I got into the lot. But that is something to keep in mind if you're like me and traffic and tight parking situations are really stressful for you. This is not going to be an enjoyable experience. So all of that leads to the big question, who is the Fox Hotel a good fit for? And I would say this is a good fit for someone who values a unique experience, fun accommodations, an Instagrammable vibe, and lots of on-site amenities over comfort. Now, I know for some people it's like, okay, if the bed's not comfortable, I'm not sleeping there. And that's 100% okay. I know there are other people who are like, well, I would much rather enjoy my time in the area. I'm hardly going to be in the room anyways. I would much rather have lots of things to do and be able to try out the local food and just have that great location. So there's definitely the pros and cons, and you have to decide which is the best fit for you. I do think if the hotel just upgraded its beds, like put mattress toppers on all of them, I'd be totally cool with it all the way across. I think they get some significant points for comfort. And again, I don't think the hot water is something they can necessarily control, because that seems like it can be very limited just in certain areas throughout the islands, but that is something you need to consider just in that area, period. And that is my review of the Fox Hotel. I would absolutely love to hear from you, whether you would stay here or if this is just not for you. Like, let me know your feedback. Let me know what's important to you. I'm very interested, but also that helps me as I make other reviews just to know what is important to you guys. So please do not be shy. Leave a comment, leave any questions down below as well. If there's something that I didn't cover, I will be happy to answer you down in the comments. As always, I do have a full written blog post about this if you want to read a bit more. That is typically on my website at cochranewriting.com, but I'm going through an entire website refresh right now. So it's actually hosted on my Substack. It is still free to read. I invite you to go check that out, and I will drop a link to that down below. Last but not least, if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, save it for your Puerto Rico planning later, share it with anyone you're going with, and don't forget to subscribe to Carried Away Travel so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, happy travels.